A proposition is a statement that can be true or false. A statement that can be true or false. If it's true, then it can be true or false. If it's false, then it can be true or false. Here's some examples of not propositions. Run, that's not a statement that can be true or false. Pass that book to me is not a statement that can be true or false. Am I entertaining? First of all, that's a question, not a statement of any kind, but it's not a statement that can be true or false. Whereas run is a statement, or maybe it's an exclamation. Pass that book to me is a statement, but it's not like that could be true or false. So those are some examples of not propositions, because a proposition is a statement that can be true or false. But there are cases where it's like not clear whether or not it counts as a proposition. And we'll look at those. But first, let's look at some propositions. 6 times 5 is 30. That is true according to arithmetic and like mathematics and stuff, right? But it can be true or false. Because it can be true or false, it's a proposition. It's a statement that can be true or false. It's highlighted in pink because it's a little controversial. So we're going to talk about that when we talk about controversial cases. I am 30 years old. I am 30 years old right now. It's true. It's true that I either am or I'm not 30 years old. Maybe it's true right now because I am 30, but in a year from now, I won't be 30. And it'll be false then, but it'll still be true when I uttered it. Just because it becomes false later doesn't mean that it can't be true or false. Either way, it's a statement that can be true or false, then it's a proposition. She's dressed like Princess Leia. Either she is dressed like Princess Leia or she's not dressed like Princess Leia. So that proposition R is either true or it's false. Proposition Q is either true or it's false. Proposition P is either true or it's false. So it can be a proposition because it can be a statement, or it is a statement, which can be true or false. But let's look at that controversial one. 6 times 5 is 30. Some people might say, look, according to the rules of arithmetic, 5 times 6 is not logically possible to be anything other than 30, just by the way it's defined. It's like not something within the realm of truth or falsity. So maybe somebody's going to do some mental gymnastics and argue that that's not a proposition. Maybe it's like a foundational truth, an axiom or something like that. So maybe it's on our controversial list. Abortion is wrong. If you're a moral relativist, then you think there is no truth that abortion is wrong. There is no truth that abortion is morally permissible. If you think there is no truth or falsity when it comes to a statement, not a proposition, because it's not a proposition if it can't be true or false. If you're a relativist, not just a moral relativist, but a relativist in general, you take statements like, it's so cold, and you think that's not true and that's not false. You think if you feel cold, then it is cold for you, and if you feel warm, then it is warm for you, but that the statement, it is cold, cannot be true or false. If you're a relativist or a moral relativist, then you don't think these are true or false. If it can't be true or false, then it's not a statement which could be true or false. If it's not a statement which could be true or false, it's not a proposition. Because a proposition is a statement which can be true or false. There's clear cases where something is not a proposition. There's controversial cases of whether something is a proposition, and there are clear cases where something is definitely a proposition. Let's get a slightly more complicated view. You know how this is a Venn diagram? Oh, it's hard to see the other side. Some things are purple only and not purple and yellow. Some things are yellow but not purple. Some things are both yellow and purple. That's a Venn diagram, right? Let's take that and try to visualize propositions. So you have ideas, right? You have ideas in your head, and some of your ideas are false. Like T is something that you think is true that's actually false. You have ideas in your head that are actually true. Like let P represent an idea that you have that's true. The law of excluded middle says that every proposition is either true or false, not both, not neither. So notice there's nothing in the middle that is both on one hand and on the other. So you have true propositions, you have false propositions. There is no proposition which is both true and false. There's also nothing that's outside of there, so there's nothing that's neither true nor false. Putting words to that visual, a proposition is either true or false. A proposition cannot be both true and false. A proposition cannot be neither true nor false. So that idea, called the law of excluded middle, helps us understand what counts as a proposition and what doesn't. A proposition is a statement which can be true or false. A proposition cannot be both true and false at the same time, in the same way, from the same perspective. A proposition cannot be neither true nor false.